to invest.
Overcompensate. Most people do. It's okay. I'm a confusing person.
Um, so I'm very excited to talk today to Andre because we're going to talk about darkness and the light that you
Hmm.
can find in that darkness and how much light it brings, not just in the sense that, like opposites show each other, but anyways, so tell me, how are you? And are you also super excited?
I'm always super excited, first of all. Second of all, I'm extra super excited because I get to see you today as well. So I'm really happy that we can connect and just hang out and chat about really cool topics like the
Yeah.
darkness. Yeah.
Well, and it's something, it's so funny because I have such a hard time explaining what I mean. Like it's like it's more of a sense than something I know how to put into words. Oh,
Oh,
your
yeah.
sunnies. Yeah, you don't want to forget your sunnies. Uh, um, it's such a hard topic to put into words, but I sense it all the time.
Hmm.
Where it's like, I have a lot of darkness in me, um, and I never really know how to describe why I think that that's a good thing. So the post you made the other day, maybe we'll start talking about that, and that's a good starting off point.
I don't remember anything. So what did I say? I
Well,
so one thing, I guess we'll start out there is I live in the ever present now as much as possible. So I'll say things, even if I do say things or post things, that is the expression of that moment, whatever it was. So I put it out there, and honestly, I just move forward. And if it resonates, awesome, we'll get back there. But I don't keep much things in my mind anymore. I find it to be restrictive. So just that way I'm open to everything as we go along. So the post I made a couple of days ago, it was about something.
it was about darkness. I wish that, so I'm the same way. So I was hoping that you would remember.
We can dig. Let's dig. Let's dig. It was. I had some
It
quotes.
had
It
some
was poetry.
quotes. Yeah,
Oh yes, I
yeah.
wrote. Yes, I was like, here's a poem for the day. Okay, poetry. It was quotes about. One of them was Jordan Peterson about being a dangerous man, being a good man, and I respect that quote. I feel it. I live that. There's another quote about up top, and then in the bottom. The bottom one was a really long quote. Let me. Where's my phone? I found my
Oh, is there a
phone.
kitchen behind there? That's
No,
cool.
no, no kitchen. My bed, baby. I sleep back there.
Oh.
Let's see. Let's pull it up. But no, I completely agree. There's a lot of beauty in the darkness. But we can start with this quote. Honestly, I won't be able to find it. I post so much stuff on Facebook. It's not even funny. Um, but
That's
let
true.
but
Me
let's
too.
read. Let's read. It's okay. The viewers can learn patience. Patience is a virtue that honestly for me started out in darkness. When you can sit with your darkness and you can really start to taste it and appreciate it, you don't want to get out of it. Like the squirming doesn't give you anything. And if you can appreciate that darkness, you can sit there and just learn that patience. It's like, all right, this is what's happening now, and yeah, maybe I can see in the future and see something different, but that's not the whole point of this. The point is to find bliss in even this darkness. So I think patience actually comes out of that. Man, I post a lot of things. There's so many
You
things.
do, but I do too. So no judgments here. I just constantly like wholesome memes 24/7.
That's too funny. Poem of the day. Okay, I'll read the post.
All
Let's
right.
see. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Carl Jung. First of all, an incredible man. If you don't know him, you need to read all of his books or at least watch some videos. If you like Freud, he Carl Jung took some ideas from Freud and then went deeper into mysticism and just kind of the expression of the soul. If you're into mysticism at all, you should know about Carl Jung and the symbology that he offers about the combination between life and you, the expression of the universe and how you fit into that and how you are just an extension of that expression, and there's not necessarily even a separation there,
Like
but
the singularity kind of thing.
like the singularity kind of thing. Expand a little bit. What do you mean? Like we're
Like we're all one, and it's like we're
yeah.
all different pieces of the same thing.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yes. So yeah, Carl Jung. I mean, he's an amazing human being. Yeah, and then I had a quote on the very bottom. It says, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measures. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure about you. We're all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make and manifest the glory of God that is within us, and not just in some of us, in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others people permission to do the same, and we are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others." Marianne Williamson. So,
That was beautifully theatrical.
oh, well, I'm a theatrical man.
It's okay. I'm like that too. I'm all about the drama, but like the good drama, not the like bad drama, you know.
I completely agree. I mean, I was talking to some of my friends earlier, and I mean, if you're gonna do something weird, you better commit to it 100%. And you know what? I am a commitment machine. I will commit to everything. Well, maybe that's not true. um, but yeah, like darkness is a very beautiful thing, and honestly, I think I mentioned this last time, and I'm more of an omnist. I believe in that there's truth in everything, basically, but I've been more uh, connected to the Sufi belief system, or something like that. It's, I guess, a belief system.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Sufism is deals with exactly that, the dark side of love, right? The pain of love, and man, I felt it so hard, so deep. I remember there was times for months on end, like I would sit in this pit of pain, that something that I would in the past would avoid because it's pain. What are you doing? Like, and it was heavy and it was just weighing on my heart. But I found. I found a beauty in that. I found like this longing that you had for something that was outside of you, for something that was missing from you. It was intoxicating. It was enlivening. It was something completely different, and I started to dive deeper into that. I was like, what's happening here? What is this? And that's when like Sufism came to me, and then I started reading some books by a gentleman. He's a Sufi teacher, Llewellyn von Lee, Llew Llewellyn. I'd never heard that name before until this man, but incredible teacher, great to listen to, very peaceful. There's a foundation of just immense peace and beauty within him. So just even listening to some of his talks, it's meditation on its own. But and he goes into just the different layers of the heart and the depths of the individual heart and the immensities or the universes that the heart itself can contain. But that's when I started to just experience the darkness in a different light. Ha. And I would sit there just like I said for months, and I would just cry myself to sleep almost every night, just feeling this longing, feeling this pain of this void that I felt. And it was the understanding that there is a unity that we're all a part of, and the feeling of separation while we're in this body, the at least the illusion of separation. And I mean, there's a process where first you feel the pain, and it's the most razor sharp pain you've ever felt, and then slowly it turns into just the most spectacular bliss, the most delicious taste on your tongue. It's the most. It's just honey. It's just sweet. And then and then the pain is just like you start kind of almost like longing for the pain. It's like, where'd the pain go? The pain was, I was enjoying the pain. What happened? Where's the pain now? Like, and then it's just nothing. It's just silence. It's quiet. You're like, what's happening, right? So there's an incredible journey that can be had if you dive into the darkness and accept it for the gift that it is. We as individuals, social conditioning or I don't know, movies, whatever. We tend to want to run away from the pain because we're like, let's give you anesthetics. Let's give you pills, whatever.
Let's numb it.
Yeah, numb the pain. You know, you're in a relationship. Oh, your girlfriend says you're stupid. Oh, she's stupid, right? Don't accept that, right? And then yeah, we want to run away from the pain, but the pain is itself an experience, just like everything else. And if we run away from half of the experience of being alive, we're not alive. We're living in a bubble that's fake. That's fake. The pain, the lows, that's what gives the highs it's light. The pain is what makes that love and the feeling of wholeness and pleasure just so much better. Why do you think people like have sex and they'll slap each other around, you know? It's good contrast. It's as an artist, look at my shirt, black, yellow, right? Black and white kind of thing. The yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. You can't have sun without darkness, the void, the space that holds it, you know? So like for me, man, pain, darkness. Again, 50-50. Give me some of this, give me some of that. Slap it together. You know what I mean? I know you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
I do know what you mean, and I feel like you're doing a much better job explaining it than I ever do, because people just look at me like I'm growing horns when I say things like that. But like, I mean, I'm someone who lives with chronic pain. I think, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I have some health issues and I live with chronic pain, and it has been really hard. But you know, when you talk about pain specifically, like some days I wake up and I just appreciate that. Yeah, pain sucks. Like I'm not about it. I'm not looking for it. But at the same time, it's like it reminds me that like I'm alive and I'm here and I'm doing things. And like you said, the contrast, I mean, I think that's the only part of this whole equation that everybody kind of understands or like that everybody embraces is, yeah, without pain, I wouldn't appreciate pleasure, you know, but it goes so much deeper than that. Like you were talking about, like the beauty in the darkness and in that pain. Like I think a really good example of how much light there exists within darkness is comedians. And how most comedians do or musicians too, do their best work when they're suffering. And I'm not saying that like I want people to suffer, but there's something to it that can't be denied, or it can be denied. Of course, it is denied constantly. But I don't think it serves us to eschew the darkness in favor of only light. And like I find that like a lot of my strength comes from my darkness. I'm you know, a lot of people I think seem to perceive me as, you know, sort of naive and happy-go-lucky and all of that, because, you know, I am about wholesomeness and bliss and love and all of that stuff. But a lot of my like power comes from that internal darkness. The fact that I know that I could, if I wanted to, switch it around, and, you know, that say, for example, strength I have with words. I could, as much as I can use that to build someone up, I could use it to tear someone down. Yeah. And I choose not to. And that there's a lot of power in acknowledging your darkness, acknowledging the beauty in it, and choosing not to let it control you.
I completely agree. Like a wonderful example is just about yourself as an individual. Is if you don't have that darkness, because I know we all have it, and a lot of us try to run away from it. If you don't have that darkness and you don't embrace it, you push away half of you that is telling you what you're worth, almost, because that darkness is saying, hey, I don't deserve this, and I will fight and I will claw and I will kill if somebody comes at me and tries to, you know, manipulate me or control me or dominionize me. Could be a real word, could not be. But you know, it's that darkness that tells you, hey, how you're being treated right now is not okay, and yeah, you might be a dick if you do this, but you're going to protect yourself. Same thing with your body. If you get a prick, if you get a cut, you're going to start feeling pain because you say, hey, see this is sensitive, and if you don't take care of this, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And it does. And people like to, you know, again, alcohol, pills, my first girlfriend, heroin. You know, these are the things that you would take to soothe the pain without soothing the initial cause of the pain. So if you're in a relationship where you're just battered emotionally, physically, and you don't do anything to stop that from happening, and you just numb it, you're going to continue living in a personal hell, until the very day that you die, and then you'll be released from it. that's not a life. That's not an existence. That's you living in fear of the darkness that's already present around you. It's you already engulfed in the darkness that you are refusing to acknowledge. You're hiding away from it, trying to see the light. Where's the light, bro? You're in darkness. Acknowledge it. But the moment you acknowledge it, you say, all right, here's the darkness. Here's the feelings I'm feeling. Here's the dark, the pain, the heaviness. This is what I'm feeling. And then once you allow it inside, then you'll start to see, okay, where is it least dark? And then your compass will start to shift. Oh, if I go this direction, I'll feel a little bit of relief. And you start going there, and then go, just little bit by little bit. And that's where music and that's where comedy comes from, is you feel that injustice that's all around us all the time, and you say, okay, how do I feel this injustice? How do I make it personal? Because it's personal. And then how do I phrase it so it makes me feel a little bit better about it? How do I talk about it that gets other people to see it, and that makes them feel a little bit better about it? And that's where some of my most beautiful songs come from. I sit there and I just feel this weight on my shoulders, like the whole world is upon me. And then I'm like, all right, what is it that I'm actually feeling? Why is it so heavy? Is it this? Is it the lack of love? Is it the lack of passion? Is it the pain that somebody's put upon me? What is it that's happening? And you start to symbolically at least tear it apart and then put it forth for other people, which also feel this in some other form. Maybe maybe it's a relationship, or it's just a lack of something else. They'll feel it and they'll connect with it, and then okay, I can feel a burden. I can put words to this demon, or to this darkness that's engulfing me. And once you can name it, well, you can conquer it. Right? That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I think, okay, so let me try and rephrase what I think you're saying, so that I know that we're at
Yes,
least close to saying the same thing, because of course, with communication, often we're not even speaking the same language when we talk to people.
it's true.
Um, but so I think I'm hearing you say, if we let go of the shame, we can actually use the darkness for its purpose, which is to guide us toward light. Is what it
Yes.
sounds like you're saying, and I think that that's very true. I think that what a lot of people don't realize about the darkness that resides within us is it's a much better communicator than the light that resides within us.
Mm-hmm.
Is it indicates, like, not just pain, but our maybe Machiavellian tendencies or whatever. It tells us what we want, what we're looking for, what we're missing, better than light does. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, don't get me wrong, happiness and bliss are perfect,
Oh
like
yeah.
wonderful things. I am not against them. They have a place. But I think that to really get closer to them, we really need to have something to listen to, and nothing is going to tell us better than our darkness and our pain,
Mm-hmm. No,
where we're going.
100%. Like that's why I think, and just to piggyback of exactly what you said, light and happiness and joy, that is almost like the destination, right? And that's the thing that we all trying to chase, and are like, but that's where I want to be. So when you are happy, just again be in that moment and just appreciate that, be a part of it, just be it, and then you're not chasing something else. But then what you'll find yourself is, because we are much like the universe outside of us. We're much like the planet even. So we will go up and we will go down, and we will go up and we will go down. Just like, we'll go into winter and then everybody hibernates and gets depressed. It's not just me, I know this. But and then we'll go back up and then we'll appreciate it. When we reach a state of depression, when we reach a state of winter, you can look, the trees, they all go inside, right? The leaves, they fall off, and then to survive, you must go inside and protect your vital force, your vital energy. And at that point, the trees are cool, right? They're like, all right, I'm good. We also have to go inside and see what's happening on the inside, how we got to where we are. What is it that we actually want? What do we value, right? The leaves are not valuable during the winter, so they drop. What's not valuable to you at that moment? It has to drop too. You have to let it go. Otherwise, it's going to suck energy that you don't have. It's going to drive you deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole that you want to get out of. You drop it so then you conserve the energy, and then you ask yourself, how do I want to sprout next season, right? How do I want to sprout in the spring? Do I want to have a couple branches come here, right? Where do I want to reach to? How do I want to expand, right? The correlations are infinite. So when we get into depression, personally, man, I love it. I sit there. I sit in that depression because, again, I don't owe anybody anything. I don't have to do anything, or at least as much. I don't have to be as energetic. Like I'm an ambivert. I can be extroverted and I can be introverted whenever I need to, whatever the situation calls for it. So when that moment comes where everything's settling down, everything becomes quiet, darkness, it just kind of surrounds you. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to say, no, bring back the light. I want the light, because that sucks. Let the darkness come in and just engulf you and hug you like a lover in the night. Just are again, we're going back into the sexual theme, but it's like, you're being hugged by this essence that just wants to comfort you. That says, yeah, this might not be where you want to be at this moment, because you have plans, right? Again, coronavirus kind of thing. You have plans, you have places to be, but what you actually need to be is right here, and consider your well-being. And that's why I'm going to hug you here, and we're going to talk about your well-being and how you feel and what do you want from your life and how you want to get to that. You just contemplate. And if you feel like you're too tired, just take a nap. And if somebody's giving you a hard time, just tell them to go away, or just kick them in the face. Whatever drives your boat, whatever floats your goat. Okay, just do that. And
Floats your
then,
goat. I love that.
yeah, thank you, thank you. And then that way, you really put yourself as the center, because we don't do that all the time, or we might not do that ever, depending on how you're raised or your beliefs. The depression, the sadness, it tells you, hey, yeah, there's a world out there, but you need to take care of you, because if you don't, there won't be a world out there, because there won't be a you. And
That's
yeah.
such a great point, is that, yeah, like definitely the darkness is the biggest motivator for self-care. For sure. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in everything else, and then you have to slow down when you're
Mm-hmm.
depressed. And it's so interesting to me how so many people think that, like, think of happiness as the absence of painful emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I just so disagree with
Mm-hmm.
that. I think, like, and I mean, it's so hard to explain, because it's not like an enjoyment in the same sense that you enjoy happiness and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this very somber beauty in those still quiet moments where everything is painful, emotionally especially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, a couple months ago I had this thing, I got ghosted, and it made me sad. You know the story, everyone's got one.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting about it, though, is that afterwards was, like, unquestionably this huge period of growth, and I was, like, sad, and I was mostly sad. I wasn't really angry. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
get, I don't know. I wouldn't say don't get angry, but not for very long. But anyways, so much sadness, but it was so much growth, and it was so much like, okay, I need to step away from everything, and I need to take care of me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it helps, but for some reason there's so much shame around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when it comes to being depressed, and thankfully, the world is changing, where people are like, hey, maybe it's not something to be ashamed of, that you're human. But but it's still there, where, like, you get sad, and then you don't want to burden anybody, and you don't want to, all this stuff. It's so interesting, because it's so important
Mm-hmm.
to experience the broad range of emotions. It's so important to our well-being and our peace of mind.
I completely agree. To jump on that as well. There's in health, right? Exactly what you said. In health, people think that health, or good health, is the lack of an ailment, lack of a disease, but that's not health at all, because again, let's jump to the coronavirus. You can be asymptomatic and be a carrier, right? So health is not a lack of disease. Health is an abundance of just well-being, right? Same thing with emotions. You can be depressed, but you can be happy, because you have an abundance of well-being. You might be in a lower vibrational state, lower energy state. You might not be running triathlons every 3 minutes. That's impossible unless, I don't know, there's a flash. But it's like, you can find yourself in any position in life, expressing it whatever way you can, but you can always find that abundance of life inside of you. The joy is created by you, no matter what the outside environment is putting forth upon you, right? Like, we are creatures of our environment, right? We have our genes, we have our genetic material, which most people know about, as DNA. But what most people don't know is that our DNA is turned on or turned off by the environment. Like, that's the science of epigenetics,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our
Like a
environment,
switch, yeah.
exactly, the environment that most people might even think is like, oh, the outside environment. You look out the window and that's what creates us. But the biggest environment that we subject ourselves to is our mind, as our internal environment. So we have a conscious decision to create an internal environment. If you create one of joy and peace, it doesn't matter what the rest of the world throws at you. You can still find that foundation of peace, even if you're depressed, even if you're sad, even if you're anxious. You can say, all right, my body's feeling this. And you can just be like, hey, why? Or you could be like, it's feeling this, so I'm just gonna write it out. Or I'm just gonna, ask or feel or whatever, and just allow that feeling to be. Like when I was mentioning to you about the cold showers, right? It's shock is similar to exhilaration, which exhilaration is also very similar to anxiety. Anxiety and exhilaration are very close emotions. And when this hit me a few years ago, I was like, holy shit. Is
Very
this a cheat
similar
code?
physiological response too.
Exactly. So it's like I remember, I'd have some sort of anxious episode from time to time, and I understood that it would come in as exhilaration, and then you'd provide a point of resistance to it. It's like, oh no, and that point of resistance would accumulate that energy wherever, call it in your shoulder, who cares, right? It's gonna stick somewhere, probably in your heart mostly. But if you allow it to just wash through it and just accept the emotion, it will come and it will go, and you'll be fine. Just like excitement. Everybody's felt excitement. You just don't get it wrapped up in your mind saying, oh, this excitement is bad. You say, I'm excited. And it comes and you're like, oh, this is so good. Oh, and you shake and you dance, and then boom, it leaves. It leaves. So that's one thing that I can suggest to people. If you're feeling angry, if you're feeling anxious or depressed or anything like that, move your freaking body. You can even ask any doctor to say, yeah, go out and exercise. Move your body. Take that energy that's already inside of you, and it comes, and you just get it out of you, whether through painting, whether through music, whether through dance, whether through yoga, just move. That's it. Just fucking move. Right? And then you have that energy to create something. Art, love, whatever. Make something. Not war. Don't make war.
Oh, there's this saying I always really liked when I was younger. It's make love, not war. Condoms are cheaper than guns. And I thought it was super funny.
That's so true. That should be on a shirt if it's not.
It probably is. I mean, I was like a teenager when I heard it. So I'm sure that, yeah. Okay. But so about what you were saying, so that's so true. First of all, is emotions are completely like a physiological, I don't know if physiological is the right word, but it's something that you experience, and it can just go. And we have a tendency as people to hold on to the bad emotions, and then good emotions, we like freak out, like foreboding joy, like Brene Brown talks about, where it's like, well, this isn't going to last, so I don't want to feel it too much.
That's sad.
So it's really interesting. Well, like when you look at something, oh, you know what? That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But what I've found is really helpful when it comes to the darkness, whatever that looks like. So sometimes it's pain, and sometimes it's, things about ourselves that we aren't necessarily a fan of, but are natural, like, the desire for revenge, for example, or whatever these things that we experience.
Mm-hmm.
I find that what's really helpful for me is to approach it with curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's say anxiety, for example. When I start getting anxiety, and I have PTSD or whatever, and so I get anxiety a lot. And when I get anxiety, when I'm cognizant of it, I go, okay, so what's happening? Like, my chest feels tight, and this and that, and it kind of helps me to step away from it and observe it. And it's very interesting the way that our body responds. So I find curiosity to be just like a huge, my sweater's falling off, a huge driver in getting through those times without that pain. And I think you're right. Like, we have such a tendency to grab onto it and then resist it, and then resistance just re-triggers it over and over again. And so instead of lasting for 30 seconds or a minute, it's lasting for like 5 hours or weeks. And so I find that very, very interesting. Yeah. I lost my train of thought halfway through the thought. And it's not because it's 420. I haven't smoked any weed.
No one would judge you if you did.
I don't do interviews or like this when I'm stoned, because it'd all be just me losing my train of thought.
I could see that. But hey, if anybody out there smoking pot, do it now, because it is 420, and well, depending on where you are, it's probably 420 too. 12:28, 4 hours ahead. Where is 4 hours ahead? Who cares?
Maybe Newfoundland. No, Newfoundland's 3.5. I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have no idea. Time zones are so ridiculous and frustrating.
Honestly, I agree. I've never had it to be such a present thing in my existence than it is now. Just podcasting all the time. I'm just like, oh yeah, wait, where are you? Oh, you're in East Coast. Oh snap, I have to like 3 hours. Oh, you're in India. Oh, 12 hours. Oh gosh, you know.
You podcasted with someone in India?
Oh yeah, I got a
That's
buddy.
so cool. That's so cool. Like, I'm so bad with time. I have 3 clocks in my house. None of them are set to the right time, even for my time zone. If I need to know the time, I'll use my phone. I just have them for decoration purposes
Yeah,
because I like clocks.
that's pretty.
um, well, like, I have this one. It's like a record that's been cut out to look like a yellow submarine, and then it's got the clock face on it.
And you got the Beatles shirt too, so.
Oh, yeah, not obsessed. I really like the Beatles, and I'm a hard person to buy gifts for.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone always buys me Beatles things.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You got a little museum in the background of Beatles, everything.
Yeah. Oh, one day I'll show you when we're when it's not my computer that I have to move around.
Truth. Truth. When we can actually move around the country, I'll come and I'll come hang out. I need to go visit my friends up there, including you.
Yeah, and Vancouver Island, honestly, beautiful. Like, just, I mean, I know that you live in the Pacific Northwest, so you also have like the rainforest and stuff. But still, Vancouver Island's prettier, I promise. It's got
I
arbutus
know.
trees everywhere.
I I went there a couple years ago, and I found myself at some sort of, I don't know, it was like a huge forest. I don't know what it was, but I just pulled my van there, kind of camped for a moment, and just kind of explored the forest. And then I left. I had some paint with me, some puffy paint. So I'd go around and like paint some rocks, and then paint some just little tiny symbols of just, I don't know, just love, just a little flower, and say I love you, and just like, yeah, just weird stuff like this. And
I,
I wish I could tell you where it was so you can go find it, but I don't know where it was. I'm hoping
it was
people are seeing it.
it was probably Cathedral Grove, and people probably have found it.
Yeah.
Cathedral Grove is like these. Yeah, it's beautiful. It doesn't matter though. We're talking about darkness, and somehow we're talking about happiness and light
Love.
again, as always.
They're connected.
Well, yeah, they're two sides of the same coin, and I think that the people who get really consumed by the darkness is because they're not.
They don't have ways to express it.
Well, yeah, because it's like the resistance creates, like, friction creates heat.
Mm-hmm.
So the more we resist it, the more consumed we get. Whereas, like, me, I just kind of embrace it for the most part. I try to own it, and I think that that's an important part too. Is that, like, vocalizing, like, hey, in some ways, by some standards, I'm kind of crappy, and that's okay.
Acceptance.
And, like, owning that goes a really, really long way to it not consuming me and controlling me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are days, don't get me wrong, there are days when you don't want to be around me. I'm not the most fun, but that's okay because I know that everybody experiences that.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. Like if I can reminisce to a part where I wasn't this individual, where I wasn't creative or expressive, I remember it expressed itself in many. I mean, I'll call it negative ways. Negative in the sense that it didn't push me to be a better, more understanding individual. So it's like, back in the day, I was insecure and I wasn't confident, and I allowed other people to bully me, to take advantage of me, to basically manipulate me in any way, and I was walking around, I was like, I'm a big strong man, all these things. And that led to a lot of, almost personal resentment. Like, I didn't like myself, so I had to force other people to like me, and that led to other problems because now I'm trying to get acceptance and love from somebody else that's not me, which you're never going to get that 100%. And if you're expecting love for somebody else, or you're expecting somebody else to help you through the darkness, it's that you only get yourself deeper, because other people can't ever provide to you that which you need personally, right? Other people can't give you a way out. They can serve as an example, be like, hey, look at me, I'm doing this, and then you can start to resent them. Like, back in the day, I used to resent people, or at least my girlfriend, my first girlfriend, right? The person you're supposed to love, she would dance, and I thought, how fucking dare you dance, you stupid whore, right? And I'm like, that. Those are my thoughts. Those are my feelings. I was like, oh, she's just trying to get attention from all the boys, and I was very insecure, and I wanted to contain her. I was like, you can't do this, right? You can't go out, you can't talk to people, you can't express yourself, you can't dance. Why are you singing, right? Literally everything I do right now, everything that I find so much joy and expression and and freedom from, I was telling my girlfriend to never do those things because I didn't like them at that time, right? Because I thought they led to something completely different. And it was that darkness that I was engulfed in, and I thought that I don't know what I thought. I was trying to, I don't know, even think I was trying to get out of it, but I was just trying to take things from other places to try to suffice that darkness, to try to feed it. And I wasn't shining. Probably making more of that darkness, just kind of sitting into it, just digging the hole deeper and deeper. Which is why she ran away many times. She left me many times, and then somehow we got back together for many years until I finally learned my lesson, and we separated, and found each other, found ourselves. And then I started realizing who she was and the things that she was trying to show me. She was saying, "Hey, you're insecure. You should probably see that." And I took that as an attack. How dare you call me insecure? I'm the best thing in the world, right? So again, we're attaching our minds to something that's not necessarily true. We're projecting an idea onto yourself and the world that doesn't necessarily exist. You're masking the reality with something that you wish to believe, and that dissonance between what is real and what you think is real doesn't combine. So nothing that you do makes anything better. The moment that you start to make things better, to take a positive turn, is when you say, all right, where am I? What are the facts, right? What can I say that's happening? Okay, my girlfriend hates me, right? Like, that's hard to say, but my girlfriend hates me, right? My maybe I'm not very capable of doing things, right? Maybe people pick on me because I allow them to pick on me. Or just all these things that you have to ask yourself, and that's deep. That you got to dig, man. They're just not going to come to you and be like, oh yeah, I've been avoiding my demons for the last 10 years, and oh, there it is. I'm just gonna. It takes digging, but once you start digging, you have these realizations every day. Meditation helps a lot, and you find yourself at least finding one piece, and you're like, oh, I'm insecure. If I'm insecure, what does this mean? How can I don't know, let go of this? How can I use this information? Or maybe at first it's just enough to acknowledge it. Okay, I'm insecure. Put it on the side. Oh, I'm a cocky asshole. Interesting. Like, these are the things that came to me. I was like, I am a cocky asshole. Put that down, right? Oh, I'm trying to manipulate the person that I claim to love, and I never saw her for who she was. I only saw her for the person that I could turn her into. Interesting. Put it down, right? And eventually all these things start to come down, and then you can look at your life, your choices, just lay down in front of you and say, so this is the person that I was, or the person that I am, and this is the life that those choices created. Do I want to continue? Personally, I found it best and easier to just wipe the slate clean and just like, all right, I'm just going to get rid of these things. Who do I want to be? What do I want to feel? If these are not the things I want to feel, that means I need to make a change. And if I need to make a change, how and who am I going to change into? So then it's really, this is where the brain comes in very useful. It's amazing, right? So the brain is very good at mirroring. Like, we have mirror neurons when we watch something, like somebody play guitar or sing or just draw. The brain thinks that it's doing it, and it's going to inherently wire those connections in your brain. And the more you do it, the better it's going to get. And then if you're actually doing it, the brain is going to start connecting even more. So if you create an image in your mind about the individual that you want to be, how they behave, how they talk, how they're perceived, what they do, all these things, and you create that, you slowly, and you think about it, you slowly start to drift toward that direction. And slowly you're like, all right, yeah, I used to be an asshole, but what did that get me? Let me try being nice. And then you start being like, hey, I love you. And then, oh my gosh, me loving somebody else gives me love. Wait a second. It's about what you give, not what you get. Holy crap. This is incredible. I'm just going to give everyone everything. And then, I mean, at least that's kind of how I got to me, from an asshole, yeah. Which truly, like, someone engulfed in darkness and just didn't know a way out and was suicidal for quite some time, to pulling the trigger in a sense, killing that individual, killing that personality, and creating someone new, and now living a brand new life. Right? It's same body, completely different approach to life, and like now happiness just bleeds through the cracks. Like now, please put me in the fucking in the hellfires. I will find a way to just enjoy that. Be like, oh, nice. Let's roast some marshmallows. You know, let's eat some flesh. I taste good. Just find a way to enjoy the things that are in front of you because they will be there. Appreciate it,
Whether you like it or not.
whether you like it or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's so many things that that you said, and I'm trying to figure out which part to touch on. I so I really like that you said, that was your journey, because my journey was similar, and I when you said wiping the slate clean, mine was a little slower. It's one thing at a time for the most part, and then rapid fire change. But what's interesting is one of the things that you said that I found really interesting is you were talking about, facts. And and this is just a side note, maybe a little out of context. I don't know if I believe in facts anymore. I think that so much of our reality is predicated on our perception. So like you said, you can go to the hellfire and I'll find a way to enjoy it. I think that is exactly true. Like it can be like, I've behaved like this. You're talking about, you being an asshole. Well, I was totally a fucking bitch when I was younger. And, I might have been nice, but I wasn't kind, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And so, like, it might have been true in some, through some lenses that I was, quote unquote bad. But it was also, I don't know how I'm getting so, this is why I wanted to have the conversation with you, because I feel like you actually understand what I'm saying and can.
Well, no, I understand too. Like I was very hesitant to even say the word facts because everything is relative. There are no absolutes. So yes, from a certain perspective, from my perspective, somebody else's perspective, you say, all right, here are the things, right? And then you can acknowledge those. It's hard to say, oh, fact, I'm an asshole. Is that a fact? I don't know. But the thing is, when you sit there and they come to you, like these realizations about who you are, and something comes, you feel it in your heart if that is pleasant or not pleasant, if that is an action that you took or a belief that you had that benefits you in the long run, or something that makes you feel like you should shrivel up and die, And I've had those feelings come to me, although I do like to move fast because I go from one extreme to the next. As soon as I see something, I was like, oh, is this working? No, let's just whoosh, go over here. But it took me about a year to just sit there and meditate. I meditated for 3 hours a day. Morning, as soon as I wake up, I have an hour meditation, midday hour meditation, and at night before sleep, an hour meditation. And I did that for about a year. And every night I'd wake up or just sit up out of my meditation, just tears falling down my face, just finding a sliver of my life that I've lived, that I've chosen to. And I was like, oh my gosh, this little piece that I didn't think anything before caused so much pain to the people around me. And I was like, oh, I did that? I did that. See, like, is that a fact? I don't know what it is, but it's something that made me feel that. And then I understood. I was like, I need to fix that. I need to reconciliation thing.
Well, and so yeah, like I definitely wasn't trying to argue with you just so much as it was something that piqued my brain, where I was like, oh yeah, like I don't know if I believe in facts. I think like I'm more comfortable with the word truths. Yeah. Because I don't necessarily believe in objective truth. Yeah. So I'm more comfortable with that because, like it can be a truth for your reality, where it's like, okay, this is what's going on and this is how it's helpful or harmful. So how do I move forward from here? And I totally relate to looking at parts of my life and almost mourning for what I could have done differently. But like I said, there's so much beauty in that, which, I mean, I guess we should probably circle around because it's been it's been 45 minutes, which is impressive because it's felt like 10. But yeah, there's so much beauty in experiencing life as it is, the whole of life, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging. And it's also important to remember that if you don't agree with that, if that doesn't resonate with you, that's also fine. If you
Yep.
want to, keep seeking just happiness and ignoring the bad stuff, do you, boo? No one is trying to shame you. This is just our experience.
Yes. I completely agree. You know, I live my entire life on take what resonates, leave the rest. And it's so beautiful because you don't get into fights, unnecessary fights. If you want to believe that, you have the right to believe it. If it works for you, it works for you. Do you, right? If it's not broken, don't fix it. But
Hmm.
if you do feel like you're missing something, or you feel like you're lost, or there's pain that you can't explain, or that you can't just get past it, then perhaps it's time to take a look at it and to embrace it rather than push it away from you. Because
Absolutely.
yeah,
I agree so much. Thank you once again, Andre. I got your name right this time. Um, yes. Thank you so much again, Andre. And I look forward to, I'm sure that we'll chat again, whether it's on here or just on Messenger or whatever. You're officially my homie.
you're
So
my homie, Kara. I love you so much. And if you want to
I love
talk
you
to my
too,
friend
Andre.
in India, you just let me know. You guys can have a podcast all together.
All right. Is he super into happiness too? I imagine.
I love him. He's a very interesting character. Are you like you'll have an interesting conversation, whatever it will be. If you want to talk about happiness, I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
Yeah, the thing I love about the conversation about happiness is that everyone has something to contribute
Hmm.
because we're all if there's one thing we all have in common, it's the desire for peace, I think. So,
I agree. I agree. The pursuit of happiness. Uh,
mhm.
all right, let me turn this off. Bye, everybody. I love you.